Well, thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the event. My name is Juan Herrero, representing APRI today. I want to thank PACE for being here with us. I mean, it's the PACE annual conference, obviously, and we organize this event with a lot of effort. And I want to thank Jorge and the whole APRI team for organizing the event and the whole program for today. Today, right now, after a very interesting panel presenting the report together with the University of Navarra, I think we can conclude the session because Natalia already mentioned most of the things that we were going to introduce now. But now, seriously, we want to dig in a bit more in what the report has shown. I think we agree with the recommendations of the report. Together with me in the panel is María Benito. María Benito holds a degree in psychology from the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid and a master's degree in coaching. After working many years in Saligeri Conde, one of the main headhunters in Spain, she joined last year Sarah Marlex, and she's focused and specialized in looking for C-level positions. So if you're interested in a C-level position, go to Maria. Luis Bouza is Associate Professor of Political Science and International Relations at the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid and also at the College of Europe in Bruges. He's Vice Dean for Research at the Faculty of Law, and most important, he also holds a PhD, but he's co-director of the Public Affairs Program Diploma that we have with the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. And last but not least, David Córdova. David has two hats, but today with us, he's president, editor, and founder of Democrata. Democrata is the first media outlet specialized in parliamentary affairs in Spain. Thank you, David. And David also, in his other hat, is president of Vince's public affairs consultancy here in Madrid. David studied journalism and political science. And also philosophy. I mean, David has an amazing background. Thank you, David, for being with us. And as we are running a bit late, let me start and get to the point. And I start with posing a very quick question, quick introduction round. So according to you, what is the main challenge that public affairs is facing nowadays? We will start from Maria towards David, and then we can build from there.
Well, thank you first of all, thank you for having me in this Congress. Thank you very much, Jorge, for inviting me. From my perspective, we face two main challenges. The first one is the need to professionalize and regulate the sector, and the second one is the need to change the organization mindset in order to view public affairs roles as strategic.
Luis, please.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to be here. You are my object of study. I'm a bit of the outsider looking in. Now, seriously, I think the big challenge for years, political scientists have looked at the reality, for years, not for decades, using the rational choice perspective, right? Basically assuming that decision makers are guided by very clear incentives and so on. Now, this is not untrue, but we are living in an uncertain world now. I know that Charles Powell is going to address that. The key issue, I think, is how to train people that have this human dimension that has been mentioned in the previous tables in a much more uncertain political world in a disrupted public sphere. And I think that this is the big challenge, both strategically, but also in terms of what this profession can contribute to the future of democracy.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks to APRI, thanks to the Senate to invite me to take part in this discussion on behalf of Democrata and also of Vinces, of course. Let me say that I think we are living a unique moment. I think we are living a unique moment because social media, civil society, public institutions, I think we are living in a moment where democracy is the big question. So let me say that for me, this summit, or this discussion, is not only about the profession, it's overall about democracy, about our democracy. So I think, and in that case, or in that framework, I think the main challenge that we have, or that you have as a profession, is the social legitimacy of the profession. I think public affairs is essential. It's essential for companies. It's essential for the civil society. It's essential for the institutions, no? In order to participate in the public decision making. And for that reason, I think we have to see the profession like a tool, like an instrument to promote and to defend our democracy. And I don't know if the profession at this moment, the perception of the profession is like this, no? Is actually, you think the people think the public affairs profession is a tool to defend or to guarantee our democracy? So for me, this is the challenge.
I mean, David, what a challenge. If that's what we need to address, that's a huge challenge, and we will probably we will talk about it later. So like a summary would be professionalization of the sector, having professionals well-trained, and getting back to Susana's and Enrique's table, the impact of artificial intelligence. So starting with the professionalization of the sector, and I want Maria to answer, but please, the rest, feel free, and let me know if you want also to contribute. According to what Natalia said before, is public affairs a profession where you land, or is a vocational one? And do you see a greater professionalization in the sector in the last years?
In my professional experience, public affairs is a landing profession in corporations. The average age for senior position is 41, 42 years old. But it doesn't mean that we don't have junior people in the sector. For sure we have. But consultancy firms are where young people usually have the first exposure to the sector. And we have a big challenge here because consultancy firms are the university for this young talent. They stay there for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they move on to another project, normally in corporations. So we have made progress in professionalizing the sector and trying to develop programs, but we have still a long way to go.
Luis, I see you want to...
I just want to add one sentence, and because I'm teaching at the Faculty of Law, and I know that the profession has different relations with lawyers in Europe, right? But in Spain, I teach at the Faculty of Law, but I'm not a lawyer. In Spain, law is like a black hole in physics. Basically, it is such a strong gravitational force that it attracts everything, right? So basically, I would say the profession, at least in Spain, but probably in other countries as well, will be fully institutionalized, recognized, and stabilized whenever I can convince one of my law students that this has a future and that he or she doesn't need to do the master's to become a lawyer, right? That this has a future and it will be as recognized as that now. I don't think we are there still, but this is probably the horizon where we need to be thinking. This is the kind of institutional recognition. It is tied to the future. How long will I stay in this sector?
I think many consultancies here would agree with Maria that retaining talent is one of the main challenges for consultancies. I work for a company. I see the challenge because when I'm looking for professionals, as Maria said, consultancies are a great university, and the problem is
you are the best university.
But the problem is that we companies tend to pay better than the consultancies. I say in general terms because that's not always the case, but in general terms, and that's the case, and we need to see how those tensions can be solved. And I don't want to be too controversial, but and digging in a bit more, is public affairs a stable profession? Meaning once you enter, do people stay in the sector? And I think we have nice findings in the report that once you land in the sector, then you stay in the sector for a long time. And are those professionals highly considered within the organization? I want to believe yes, because I want to believe that I'm highly considered. But what is your experience?
You are highly considered, and you know. I would say that public affairs is a stable profession in general. What changes over the time is the level of responsibility. In lower positions, technical knowledge are a value, and once you have this kind of skills, you move on more strategic position. Yes, it's a valued position within corporations, and several professionals in this field are actually occupying seats on the boards. But if we talk about salary, sometimes it doesn't match the level of responsibility. But I have to say that it's a common topic among all professionals in all kinds of industries. So everybody complains about salary. Who doesn't complain about salary? So it's a bit controversial because in consultancy firms, salaries are lower than in corporation. That's true, but there are more young people, so it's no conclusion. It's not a big conclusion.
And David, because I saw you like kind of disagreeing with me, so I give you the chance to polemizar. I don't know how you say it.
I not disagree. I think the challenge that the profession has at this moment is that, which is the difference between public affairs profession and corporate affairs profession?
Yeah.
I think this is the challenge, no? Because as you see, many people or many companies are organizing their structure, thinking on the head of the activities, the corporate affairs department. They have people from the public affairs, from the communication affairs, etc. No? So I think the challenge is specifically how we define which is the profession of public affairs. No? I'm provocating, no? But I think it could be useful for the discussion. No? And many companies ask us, no? and sometimes, what do you think is better? Do you think the public affairs is better than communications or corporate affairs? Always I say that this is, we cannot compromise. We cannot do that. I think we have to think in the people, we have to think in the activity of the company, et cetera, et cetera. No? And for me, the main thing is the person who has to lead this department. Maybe it could be the person from communication department, maybe from the public affairs. So the issue is not that, but we have to be clear with the people who are guiding in this way, no? Because I think it's important to understand, no? Not to define only, for example, I am PhD in law, no? My thesis doctoral is about lobbying, no? But always I see, okay, oh, law, doctoral, PhD, no? But well, I need many skills in communications, in negotiation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's important to support and to advise our colleagues or the young people who want to be a professional worker. I think we have to support them to see and to think beyond the profession. Only public affairs is the best, and only that.
And we were talking before about artificial intelligence and the impact, and I think the importance of the personal relationship between the head of communication, the head of public affairs, the head of corporate affairs, that's key, the way they work together to improve the results. So that's something that the computers will never replace, or at least for the moment. So I think we can conclude that we see a professionalization, and we are talking about a profession that is in growth, moving to the training. And before asking Luis if we are training correctly, what are the skills that you every one of you, what are the skills that are most demanded or that are the most important for a public affairs professional? And then I will ask, and Luis, I put the question now, and then you answer to me, are we training in those skills?
Well, if we talk about skills, I would say that strategic thinking is one of the most demanded competencies. But not only that, also critical thinking is also crucial. The ability to read the context, anticipate several scenarios are critical in your profession. And as we have been talking about before, we are facing a significant challenge with AI. The whole sector suffers from a lack of professionals prepared in artificial intelligence. So we need to address this if we want to progress at the same pace as society does.
No, I think I totally agree. I think that if I have to choose a skill, I think the main skill is judgment, no? The critical thinking. I think you can learn legislative procedure, stakeholder mapping, or whatever, but to judge is very difficult. How to, in order to act or to react in front of some events and some facts, you have to judge. And I think this is the main skill that we need to negotiate, to anticipate some risks, to select or to choose in some resources, etc. I think this is the main skill. And for that reason, I think the AI capabilities are really useful in order to choose, in order to judge, sorry, in order to use, to judge. It's very useful, the AI capabilities and tools. No?
So Luis, we saw the background in the report we presented. The background is law, the background is international relations, is political science, but we didn't see anything about critical thinking and strategic thinking. So are we training in the right skills? Could we be thinking of a degree in public affairs? What are your thoughts?
Thanks a lot. For those of you not coming from Spain, the big debate the last 2 weeks here has been why are students no longer showing up in universities, right? And we have a big walkout from the study rooms, and the students vote with their feet, right? And this is one of the key issues. Now, of course, it may be saying a lot about the situation of universities and so on. That's a different debate, but it probably also tells us that what is needed is strongly related to skills, right? Not only to the type of knowledge. And I'm convinced that as useful as distance teaching may be for some things, being in a group, sitting through lectures for a number of hours, relating to others is an essential task, right? So I think this is very important to bear in mind. Now, strategic thinking, I fully agree. And I try to tell my students in class, and I see some of my undergraduate students who then took the diploma round. Pierre Bourdieu says that strategic thinking is thinking relationally. What's your position in the group? And this is something that you will translate to the future, and that is a value you can translate to your company and to your clients, right? I mean, not only think of the decision, think what comes after the decision and how you will be relating to your stakeholders after the decision, and so on. And same thing with critical thinking. And probably one of the things that with the future of AI, people are starting to say, people want to see a degree of imperfection in the deliverables, right? Because that shows a human touch. Now, of course, it's very easy to fake an imperfection into something designed in AI. The big thing that will come together, I mean, this is, to me, not different from critical thinking, but Maria, I think you have said it very well. Probably we need also a touch of intuition, right? Because the machine will be telling us something very relevant, but reading the context, you said that is essential. Now, very quickly on the last question, I probably don't think we need an undergraduate degree in public affairs, because probably what we need is still very good, I don't know, geographers, economists, and probably engineers or doctors coming into the profession with this very valuable background, but then acquiring these skills they need to contribute to this profession. So I think that the challenge is what kind of postgraduate training we are providing. So I modestly hope that we are providing a bit of that in our own program, but there are a couple of students from last year and one at least from this year, and maybe you can ask them what they think if we are providing that.
And as most of us have already spoke about AI, and we had a table especially on that, whoever wants to chip in, what's the impact of AI in our sector? I believe it's a very positive tool, but how is it impacting the sector from your perspective? David, maybe you want to start?
Well, a huge impact, no? A huge impact. I think it's an amazing moment. For me, it's an amazing moment for the public affairs profession. Why? No? One of the add values that the profession has to offer is the intelligence. No? Thinking on political intelligence, for example. No? So it's the intelligence. So the AI tools will offer the opportunity to achieve this knowledge very quickly, very cheap, etc. So it's a great opportunity to make cheaper, to make easier, and to make quickly this intelligence. For me, the challenge is how to use this information, how to use this intelligence. I think the companies, in my opinion, do you remember? You remember when, I don't know, maybe 10 years, the digital transformation of the companies. Always, I ask about the public affairs department. You are making this digital transformation? No, look at, I don't know, we don't need it. No, I think the challenge that the profession has, because is this. I think in the companies, in the consultancies, didn't invest from many years in these digital skills, in this knowledge, in the data, in how to do scrapping, etc. No? Only the people who invest for many years now see the AI tools not like a threat, like an opportunity. So I think it's an opportunity. We have to take advantage of that.
Luis?
I'm not sure if it's true, but it was told to me by a German colleague, so I guess it has an extra value. Apparently, one of the last things that Jürgen Habermas did before passing away was to sue a series of British universities that have launched something called the Habermas machine, where basically you can deliberate without actually discussing with other people. Now, why I'm saying that, because of course I fully agree that it is a tool, that we have to learn about it, and that we need to use it, but I think lobbyists are political mediators, right? I mean, you are there between decision makers and society. Now the big challenge is an epistemic one, because one of the risks is society, my own students, decision makers will increasingly give more confidence into AI looking more complete and so on than human judgment. And I think that this is a big challenge, and I was a bit concerned with what Enrique was presenting, because I know that the European Commission is using AI for things like reading the position papers and so on, but I don't think when you write position paper, you expect it to be read only by a machine. I mean, you assume that probably not everyone in the Commission can read it, but you expect a dimension of human interaction and human intelligence. So I think that this is probably, as we say in Spanish, the birth pains, and that we will find an accommodation. But I am concerned that if, as a citizen, as a lobbyist, as a political mediator, your only interface is going to be with a machine, and not only because of the biases and so on, humans do have biases as well, but because democracy is about relations between humans, right? So I go back to the issue of relationality.
Yeah, but I would say that AI would help to address technical tasks, and you're going to have more time for establishing relationships, for critical thinking, for looking what your company needs. So AI is here now, and we have to address it, and we have to deal with that. It's mandatory.
Thank you very much, Maria. The last challenge I think I wanted to address, David anticipated it, is the social legitimacy. And I think it's a bit of the elephant in the room. So here I want to talk about regulation. according to many public affairs professionals, together with transparency, is a key challenge for the future of the sector. My question to you, and I will put two challenges together, is what do you think should be the next steps on regulation, having heard the situation in the different member states of the European Union and knowing what we have at European level. So challenge one, regulation. Challenge two, and this one is specifically to you, David, is how can the sector improve its image and especially the perception that you mentioned among society? What's the role of media on this? And if you know if the perception is similar in other countries. So regulation and perception. David, if you want to start.
Well, about perception, no? I don't know how to recommend about that, but I think through transparency, through education, through good practices, best practices, we have to promote this social legitimacy. No? I think the media also has a role. No? Yesterday in the Spanish Parliament, no? Maybe you see or you read that one of the members said, which is the difference of when finish the lobbying, and when is starting the traffic of influences. No?
They said that.
Yes, yesterday.
Yes.
No? So this is a success of the profession. And I think you, APRI, etc., the professional, you professionals that you work for many years, I see Maria Rosa at this moment. I remember when 20 years ago we were speaking about that, or you were speaking. Now we are not speaking about corruption. We are speaking about professional activity. No? So I think you are doing that. You are working in that. We have to do more things. No? I think let me speak about Democrata. I think the role of the media is also to explain which is the difference between traffic of influence and between the right of participation. So this is the obligation. Of course, we have to report about the bad practices. The obligation of the media is also to report about their interests, how to try to influence the public decisions. Of course, no? This is our role as a media. But also, in this framework, we have to highlight the people who is doing well. We have to highlight also the right of the participation, because we have to highlight that this is a fundamental right. It's not a privilege. This is not a privilege. Let me connect, for example, the name of the society of my media, of Democrata, is Información y Participación SL. We are speaking about two rights: the right of information, or the right of communication, and the right of participation. So the role of the media to support our democracy is to inform, to give more information in order to give more critical judgment to the people, to the companies, to the organizations. The role of the public affairs is also to support the best public decisions. So this is, I think this is the way that you have to do. And I have to say, please take advantage of Democrata. Take advantage of that. We are speaking about our democracy, not about consultancies, not about profession. Sorry.
Luis, especially on regulation, especially as with your experience or perception, whatever you want to answer.
I'm going to speak only about perception. There are many people, including the room and before me, that know more about regulation than myself. Now, I just want to build upon what David has said. And again, just to show that I don't only speak badly about the lawyers, I think here, probably the profession can learn something from the lawyers. Now, what do I mean? In the European continental system, in the, let's say, Roman tradition, the lawyer is not only providing a service to his client, he is an agent of the system. I mean, the lawyer in our systems is part of the rule of law, is part of the empire of law. And that this is probably something where we have to start saying of this profession. I mean, the lawyer is not only someone providing a service to his client, he is also he should be producing positive externalities. Now, if this is the case, then we have to move on a different thing, and I know that this is difficult for a small, young profession, but we have to start thinking of if a lobbyist is someone that I need to have my voice heard, then how does it become affordable and part of a pluralistic society, right? So now, the issue here is, to what extent can the profession also provide services to a more diverse set of stakeholders? I am the typical small association who is very indignant with this methane plant getting into my town. How can I hire a lobbyist for the public good? Now, of course, if I cannot afford it, and so on. And I know that this is a difficult thing for a small profession, and probably it can be tied to regulation. I don't know how, but probably there are brighter minds in the room to tie that to regulation. But the issue is how this profession can be perceived as operating for the public good and not for the, let's say, usual suspects. And I think that this is the next challenge, and probably in Spain, but in most other countries.
Sorry, let me say, many people ask us, oh, is legal, the profession? Please, yes, it's in the Constitution. Always I say, well, okay, thank you. It's in our Constitution. Of course it's legal. And when the people ask, but is it regulated? Yes, the base is regulated because it's in the Constitution. I think it's important in the profession, explain more this.
Thank you for the reflection. We need to end, but I want to conclude in a positive way, at least I hope. If you can describe the situation or the reality of the public affairs sector, not only APRI, but the public affairs sector in Spain, what would be that word that would describe the situation of the public affairs sector? And with that, we pass to the next session. Maria, if you want to start.
Yeah, I would say maybe evolving. The profession is evolving from a traditional way of doing things to a more modern way, incorporating tools like AI. And I will finish here.
I think the profession is putting up a nice fight.
One word, opportunity, no? Oh, sorry. I think in one word, it's an opportunity, more than one word. I think the profession, as you mentioned, is a tool to support our democracy and to support the relationship between organizations or companies, civil society, and public decision makers.
That's a nice ending, David. We'll wrap it there. Thank you very much, three of you.